Professor Patrick Omo-Osagie, international sports consultant, joins us all the way from Houston, Texas. Professor, thank you so much for coming through tonight on Game On. Always a pleasure to see you, sir. Now, maybe you can help us break this down, because I've been struggling to find out, I don't think there's even a football team on the African continent that is worth $50 million. Now, the NBA are saying they want to see basketball franchises pay a $50 million entry fee. Is, for the lack of a better word, is this sane? Is this a sane request?
Well, thanks for having me, though. I mean, let me start with this same project, this Basketball Africa NBA project. We have the same project going on in Europe. Europe is supposed to also start 2027. Let me run a few numbers by you with Europe. Real Madrid is in the top 3 teams in Europe. It spends about 44 million euros every year. That's expenses. Its revenue is only 24 million. And it has a loss of 19 million every year.
So it's definitely making a loss.
Yeah, they run their basketball program at a loss.
Okay.
Now, there are also going to be 12 teams in Europe on the NBA Europe project, which they call a European project. They expect that in a few years, they'll be able to value those teams at $1 billion. I don't see that happening, because we can see the numbers already. Because they already have Euro League, which has been thriving for years, or which has been on for years. I'm not going to use the word thriving, because I just gave you some numbers that shows you a huge deficit by one of the top 3 teams in Europe. Now let's go to Africa. Now, we don't have any basis. There's no reason whatsoever that you can say that someone should buy a team for $50 million in Nigeria. I'm going to stick with Nigeria. Where, $50 million would run our most important sport, football, for maybe 3 years. And that is our league, comfortably. Now we want to use that one to be part of the league. 50 million. I don't see how it's going to happen. They're talking about a real nice arena. I understand one is being built somewhere in Lagos and all that. That's fine. But have we looked at the numbers from BAL over the years? Look, the average cost of a ticket to get into a BAL game last year was just slightly over $1. $1. That's 1,500 in Nigeria. So I don't know how they got to 50 million. Maybe they're just throwing it out there. Look, I think when I spoke to you earlier, we talked about, the best valuation for a team coming into a league like this, if you really want to make it reasonable and not profitable, but something that's reasonable that we can really work with, is probably about $1 million, maybe $1 million plus. But 50 million, I don't know. I don't know where we're going to get that from. I don't know what clubs in Africa are going to be able to do that.
So you think, personally, that this valuation is outrageous? Because from where I'm sitting, I don't even think the entirety of the ball itself is worth $50 million. So you don't agree with this valuation for a franchise entry fee?
Yes, to enter this, look, I just think that, they put the number out there. So that means I want to always believe they've done some work. I might be missing something. Let me put it that way. I might be missing something. Because, look, WNBA teams, I think the team in Connecticut, they're trying to sell it. Now, they're trying to sell a team that has been in existence for 20 years, 27 years. They're trying to sell that team, and it's just slightly under 100 million, if I believe the numbers, because Houston is trying to, the owner of Houston Rockets is trying to bring that team to Houston. So I'm following it. I think it's about 79 million or something they want to sell. So where they got that number from? Because look, where you make money in sports today, it's media. Africa just doesn't have the media yet to cover its sports the way it is being covered in America. Why is Real Madrid losing money? Because they don't have the same media money that an NBA team has. And that's really the problem for a lot of other countries trying to run the American style
of the
sports
NBA
business.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Professor, I mean, still on this financial outlay, I like you said, it looks like the NBA must have done some groundwork because they're also saying that since the beginning of the BAL, it's brought in about $250 million, which is a lot of money. They're also projecting that by 2034, they're looking at about $5.4 billion. So they've done their plus and minus. They think this is feasible. And I think that we have to also realize that, see, with basketball, it is beyond basketball. It's lifestyle. It's entertainment. If we can really key into it, I think that it's very feasible to have $50 million. And they also say not just $50 million, there has to be a world-class arena. I mean, I'm not even sure we're close to that yet.
Well, they are building one at Oniru, but I don't know the level of how advanced it is. But what your question? Really?
My question is that maybe we're just being we're not positive enough. Maybe this is actually very much possible that Africa can tag along with this scope and this project that NBA is planning for 2027. That's just what I want to ask. Don't you think that maybe you're just maybe a bit pessimistic? You're not looking on the plus side?
Look, I love to look at the plus side, but when it comes to business is very straightforward. It's a profit and loss situation. Look, I don't think you have. Look, let's talk about it. If you buy a team for $50 million, you expect at least in the first few years, maybe even 10 years, not to recoup 50 million, but at least to have a line to see that, oh, money is going to get into this thing. But here is the key to sports, and it's the business of sports. Revenues usually come from three places: media, game days, sponsor game dates, ticket sales, and then your branding, your commercial, what you do and all that. Now let's use Nigeria as a standard bearer. Where are you likely to get media? Almost zero. If football cannot get media, it's almost impossible basketball to get media. Now let's look at game day revenues. I just told you BAL has been on about $1 plus for tickets. Wherever they've been, Kigali, Tunisia, and all those places they have played games. It's about $1 plus for a ticket. How much are you willing to buy a ticket in Nigeria right now for basketball? How much are you willing to buy a ticket? 10,000 naira?
10,000, that's too optimistic. 10,000 naira is too optimistic.
So that's the problem they're going to have. You don't have the market for this kind of a system yet.
So which is why this boggles the mind, Prof. Because probably the most valuable sports franchise on the African continent is probably Al Ahly. Multiple African champions, they are valued at just 33 million euros. Now you're telling us that a basketball franchise will cost $50 million. Is there a world
to get into? To get into the game.
To get into the game. So is there a world, is there a possible world, a scenario where we can see basketball overtake football on the African continent as the #1 sport and probably the most profitable sport from everything that you know of sports on the African continent?
No, it's not going to happen. If the NBA, even if America cannot overtake the NFL, which is a 17-week league every year, then I don't see how that would happen even in Africa, where our bloodline is really with football. But, so basketball is, basketball could be popular. It's a very interesting, it's a fast-moving sport. It's good for TV. It's up and down, but we just don't have the culture of paying for things like that level of entertainment. That is what America has been able to develop, and that is why you have the biggest league in America. Look, there's real good basketball in Real Madrid. You have a lot of European players playing in the NBA today, but they're not going to make the kind of money that Real Madrid, Barcelona are not going to make the kind of money. Now, the Euro project also has 12 teams. 2 in Spain, 2 in England. Turkey, Italy, and all those. Our countries are supposed to get part of the 12 teams and all that. But again, where will the money come from? media, game day, branding. The branding in Europe might be very good because if you have teams in Milan and all that, they're going to be their commercial base is going to be very solid, even in Barcelona, Real Madrid. But what about the game day and the media, TV money?
Okay.
Those are the most important parts of sports business today.
Okay, so finally, sir, let's domesticate this in Nigeria. Can we use this model to probably rebuild the Nigerian basketball ecosystem? Is there something that we can learn from this? Probably ask maybe like high net worth individuals who are interested in basketball to pay maybe like a 150 million or 200 million franchise fee, and we can have maybe 16 clubs across Nigeria and form a proper basketball league whereby they control their own commercial, their own TV, and also get their own rights. Is this something that we can learn from this BAL adventure and domesticate it here in Nigeria in order to improve the current Nigerian basketball ecosystem?
Well, look, I've been an advocate of the American system of sports business, which is the franchise system, where you actually just have a certain number of teams. They're guaranteed to play year to year. There's no relegation. They stay the same. But you buy into the bigger body. So you buy into like the NBA. I would not start with basketball in Nigeria. I would actually use the model to revamp Nigerian football.
Interesting.
That is what I would do. I will use that model to revamp Nigerian football. Place 16, 18 teams around the country to well-known established places. Let's resell or let us auction those cities to clubs. Or clubs to be auctioned. Bendel Insurance is going to stay in Benin. Who are the people in Benin that want to own Bendel Insurance? They can still partly own it with the government because maybe the government owns Ogbe Stadium and all that, But that's you can use that system, hopefully, maybe to revamp Nigerian football, going more private than with government.
Okay.
Because you're going to be, like Jos is going to have a team. Jos is known, we've had traditional football in Jos for years, Mighty Jets and all that. So you can still sell a space for Jos, put out the space for Jos and say, hey, who are those in Jos that would like to come in and buy a team for Jos?
Okay. Well, we've been speaking with Professor Patrick Omo-Osagie, international sports consultant, joining us all the way from Houston, Texas. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been quite illuminating speaking to you. And hopefully we'll be getting you back pretty soon because there's some developments going on in the Nigerian basketball system. Upcoming elections, some people are vying for position, jockeying for the new board. And of course, you're a man who have better insights than most regarding how this works. So we're hoping to have you back.
No, that one, I don't have insight. Let them have an election where we get a new president, then we can talk.
Okay,
but
sir.
in the meantime, I wish them luck on how they want to do things.
Okay, Professor Patrick Omo-Osagie.
You guys have a good evening, yeah.
Thank you so much.